Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben's award-winning podcast, as voted by Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and listeners. So if you're new to the podcast, make sure you click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts, listen back to all our previous episodes, sit back, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's episode. Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben. Well, we're back after a short break. I thought I was feeling better last week, but nope, I still had the cough and feeling nauseous, so I've taken a week off from recording these podcasts. But it does give you a chance to think about what you're doing and how you're doing it and ways that you can improve things and different topics that I can talk about. So it's good to have a little break every now and then. But hopefully they will come back and we'll get regular episodes again, because I know people have been messaging me saying hurry back with the podcasts, we're missing them on a daily basis. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll be back regular now. Maybe not always daily, but they'll certainly be back regular, looking at different topics and talking about the allotment and the garden, sharing my tips and my knowledge with you all. And as you know, I've really got a passion for being on the allotment and in the garden, as it's good for the mental well-being and the fresh air. You just can't beat being out in the fresh air, especially on these autumn days, because it's not too cold, not too hot, and sometimes it's not raining, fingers crossed. And this weekend has certainly been a good weekend for being down on the allotment. So what have we been up to down at the plot this weekend? Well, I spent quite a bit of time down there yesterday, as obviously my plot has been neglected a lot this year. So I've got the real effort of getting it back up to standard, back to how it should be looking, and back to being tidy again, which is a big thing because I am not a tidy gardener. I really am not. And I'm one of these that'll just shove stuff down somewhere and then just leave it. But I need to start learning to be more tidy on the allotment and clearing away as I go along and not just leaving it in a pile, because obviously that can attract insects and diseases and stuff like that. So I need to look at getting on top of that and being a bit more tidy on the plot. So what have we been up to? Well, I've been working on my fruit garden area and around my entrance, as this is the area that has the most potential, that produces the most stuff on the plot. And my fruit orchard is one to behold of, as some of it is only about 15-16 years old, but obviously the time and effort that you put into it, the more produce you'll get from it. And obviously you all know that I've got a Victoria plum tree what does really well, and we had a fantastic harvest this year. I've also got my cooking apple tree, which didn't get a good harvest this year. I'm thinking it's because I gave it a good pruning back last year, so I need to look at how to prune it this year, whether to just give it a little tidy up rather than a real good chop. And then obviously I've got my eating apple tree as well, which I shared a picture on Instagram yesterday of it, and wow, did I get a good harvest on that. I didn't give that much of a prune last year, so that's probably why it's done as well as it has done. And also I've got my 2 pear trees, but they didn't fruit this year, so I'm going to leave them this year. I'm not going to give them a prune, I'm going to leave them to grow themselves and see what come of them, and hopefully we'll get some pears on them. So I've got all that area to tidy up. I've been really busy getting it all clear. I have black membrane down on the ground around all my rhubarb, which grows in my orchard area, and it does keep the weeds down. It keeps the ground moist, which makes the rhubarb grow really, really well. I get some fantastic harvests from the rhubarb. I've got about 16 plants altogether. You're probably thinking, why do I need 16 plants? But rhubarb is that expensive in the supermarkets. If you go and have a look at how much it costs you for a couple of sticks, wow. So that's why I grow it, and I give it away, and people make crumbles with it. So it goes back to my friends and family, so they all enjoy it really well. And obviously I could get into making rhubarb gin if I tried. That's something that I do need to have a look at recipes on how to make rhubarb gin. But also there's a brewery near me that's accepting fruit, which I didn't find out about until the end of the year when all my fruit had finished, where they make stuff into beer and they swap it for beers. If you take them fruit, they'll give you beer. So I'm hopefully going to be taking lots of rhubarb there next year and getting lots and lots of free beer, because who can refuse free alcohol? I know I certainly can't. So I've got all that to do. I've also been sorting out all my autumn raspberry canes as well today, as those are all finished. It's finished fruiting now, and they are all ready to be chopped back to the ground, so I've done all that. And then I'll be moving on to another area of my plot, hopefully next week, where I'm going to be starting out clearing my main plot, getting all that tidied back now, getting all the netting off and getting it all cleared, really ready for next year, because the more that you do now, the less you have to do in winter, because obviously in those cold snowy months you won't be able to do much on the plot. So it's a good idea to get as much cleared now as possible, get it all dug over, get it all weed free, and then it will stay like that pretty much throughout winter, because the weeds won't grow at all through winter much, as there's not enough light, not enough warmth, so nothing much grows. And it's a good time to get all them roots out of the ground so that they don't grow back next year. So it has been a busy day down at the plot this weekend, and hopefully I will get a lot more done in the coming weeks now that I'm starting to feel better. Touch wood, it soon passes and I get back to full strength and get back to enjoying what I actually do enjoy. So it's been a good weekend, and hopefully again these podcasts will be back on a regular basis, so make sure you click that subscribe button if you are a new subscriber. We talk about lots of different topics and different areas of gardening. I've got quite a few podcasts lined up to record, so make sure you tune back to the next episode. Have a great rest of the weekend, everybody, and as always, remember, keep gardening, keep smiling, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben. So thank you for listening to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Remember to do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts. Feel free to share them on your Instagram stories so that it spreads the word about my podcast and we get lots more listeners. Feel free to check out my social media sites, Facebook and Instagram as well, Gardening with Ben, and also my YouTube channel, to stay up to date with all my handy videos, how-to videos, and sharing my tips and advice. And feel free to check the link as well in the description for my Gardening with Ben t-shirts. Lots of funny gardening design t-shirts in there for you to purchase at great prices too. So thanks again, and as always, remember, keep smiling and keep gardening.